don't quit when you don't pass the audition, when you're told no, because if you quit when you're told no, when you're told it's not your time, not you right now, if you quit then, it was never your dream to begin with. Welcome back to the Samantha Show. I'm your host, Samantha. You can call me Sam, just don't call me Sammy. We have one more episode where we are talking about fitness before we move on to our next mini-series, and I'm so excited to close out this fitness series with a woman that I truly admire. She is a fellow Shred instructor. I know you guys are probably like, everybody Sam hangs out with now is from Shred 415. Yes, this is true. But I am here with Matilda Smolij. Did I say it right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
that's right.
Yes. I am here with Matilda, and I got to tell you, I'm so excited to talk to Matilda. We're going to talk about just really exercise, strength training, fundamentals, and basics so that anybody who's new or just getting into it or is just looking for some guidance, Matilda is an expert on this, and I'll share. The first time I really got to take a class with you, Matilda, or work with you one-on-one is when we were doing the functional, breaking down the movements at Shred. We had that special class that we did where you were giving tips on lunges and squats. And I got to tell you, Matilda, I always hated lunges because it hurts my knees. I don't like lunges because it hurts my knees. And I took that class with you, and damn it, my knees don't hurt when I do lunges anymore. You changed my life. So who knew? And I think this happens a lot, Matilda, where people are like, I can't run because it hurts my knees. I can't do squats because it hurts my knees. And it's not that you can't. It's like we're not doing it right, or we haven't built up the right muscles in the right places to do that. So that's my little, story with Matilda and how she changed my life. And I hope that she can change your guys' life too. So Matilda, welcome with that big intro. Welcome to the Samantha Show.
Oh my gosh, Sam, thank you so much for having me. And every time you say that you admire me, my heart grows because I admire you so much.
Aww.
And you are such a badass. And I'm just so grateful to talk to you today and be here. So thank you.
Yes. So not only is Matilda a certified personal trainer, you have your own online program, you do one-on-one training, you're an instructor at Shred. You are also an opera singer. And I want to touch on that for just a second, because how does one get into singing opera? How do you even know you have that gift or that drive or that ability to do that?
Yeah, so luckily I was kind of just thrown into music at a young age because my dad is a conductor. So, I would go and travel with my family. That was like such a huge privilege. I was able to go and travel with my family when my dad had different shows or concerts. And when I was pretty young, like 5 or 6, we were in Louisiana and he was conducting a production of The Magic Flute, and it was a whole week of rehearsals and shows, and he kind of went to the director and he was like, we don't really have a babysitter for Matilda this week, and she's like pretty high energy now and she's old enough where she can kind of do her own thing, so could you like throw her into the show? And he was like, yeah, we can make her like a child actor in the show, like for sure, she'll love that. So I was kind of just thrown on stage, and then I started doing that every year, and I was like, yeah, this is where I meant to be. Like, I love this. I love being on the stage. I love this music. I love this human connection. So that's how I got into opera. It's really thanks to my dad and to the amazing musicians I was surrounded by.
What a fun story. I love that opened the door for you. I think that's amazing, too, that your dad is a conductor and that you've just kind of been around music. I don't know a lot about opera music, but we were just talking before we started the podcast. Like, I do just love music, the emotion that it evokes, the way it can make you feel different things in an instant, that connection piece, which is so amazing. So sometime we'll have to geek out over music, and I hope I can
Let's do it.
come hear you sing sometime, too.
I love all your playlists, so we can definitely,
Thank you. So, Matilda, I do want to talk to you about fitness, but first, give me a little bit of background. So, you told us how you got into opera singing. How did you get into fitness? How did that connect into your journey and your story?
Yeah, so I didn't really grow up playing sports. I was not athletic. I have told this story before, but I literally had my sister-in-law write me a doctor's note to get out of the pacer in elementary school. So I was not an athletic kid at all. I just never felt like sports were the place for me. Like, I was in choir, I was in theater. I was not interested in sports whatsoever. Yeah. So, eventually in high school, you kind of get to the point where you're like, well, this is probably something I should do. My parents both would always exercise. I knew the importance of movement. So I just kind of started going to the gym. My best friend, Alexis, and we would go to the gym together and kind of just have fun and do whatever we wanted. And I was like, wow, this is exercise, something that I thought was not for me. And here I am doing it. And here it is. And it's fun and it's great. And so, I started to really realize, well, being an opera singer is a physically demanding career. Like
Sure.
on stage, being in rehearsal, traveling for gigs, it takes a lot out of you. If this is going to be my career, if I want to sing professionally, I need to make sure I'm taking care of my body to be able to do it. So I really prioritized movement, and then it all just kind of took off from there. And in college, I really decided to take it more seriously. And when the pandemic hit, I started, bringing fitness to my friends through Zoom workouts. And that's where it all started. It just kind of grew from there.
That's amazing. And how long have you been with Shred? Are you one of the OGs? Did you open with them or did you start after them?
I am not.
Oh,
So
okay.
my stomping grounds in my professional fitness career were the University of Cincinnati Campus Rec Center.
Oh, cool.
I owe all of my fitness knowledge, education, everything to UC Campus Rec. And then after teaching there for about 2 years, I started looking into some studios in town, and Shred was the first studio that I started teaching at outside of Campus Rec. So I've been there for, I want to say 3 years now, 2.5. I'm not sure, something like that.
Amazing. And a wonderful community. I just love it there so much.
Oh my
So,
God, I know. Yeah.
well, let me start to pick your brain then, because I do consider you very knowledgeable. And I think this is not a bash at people like me. I'm talking about myself here. But as much as I do group fitness, I did cycling for 7 years. I have my certified personal training certificate from NASM. But I do think there are some people, and I'm going to speak to you, Matilda, that have even have spent maybe more time really breaking down these fundamentals, how the body moves. And again, I'm not bashing myself or saying I'm not a good instructor, but I would say you're an exception. You have even a higher, deeper level of the science behind movement. And so that's why I really want to pick your brain. So when we talk about this idea of functional movement, and I feel like it's kind of a buzzword over the last couple of years. What is functional movement? What does that mean? Functional training, functional weight training. What is that?
Yeah, first of all, you're so right in that we do hear a lot of these buzzwords like functional training, train functionally, train your core functionally. And I'm like, y'all, you're telling me a million different things to do. There's too much information out there. But I mean, really, functional movement is just movement that supports your life, movement in support of your life. We're just trying to prepare people for all of the real life physical capabilities that we're trying to build on. So, whether that's overall strength, versatility, balance, mobility, all training to a degree is functional because making the human body stronger is going to support you in your day-to-day life. But, as opposed to maybe some of the traditional strength focuses like hypertrophy or isolating certain muscle groups for aesthetics, functional training ideally takes lots of different aspects of training into account and just tries to prepare people to move well in their day-to-day lives.
And I think there's a bigger demand for that. I was just talking to Tara. I had Tara on the podcast recently.
Love her.
And I know, me too. Again, just amazing humans. We were talking about this, and I think one of the great things that can motivate us as we get a little bit older is maybe we get into training or we get into exercise because we want to lose weight or we want to change our body or something like that, or we want to use exercise to mentally help us de-stress, whatever that motivation may be. What I think, at least, again, speaking to myself and Tara and I were connecting on is almost too, as we start to get older, it's we realize how important this exercise is so that we can keep moving as we get older. And that's one thing I admire my mom so much about. She's in her 70s, but she still does Pilates all the time. She's very active and she understands.
I loved your mom. I met her.
That's
she was
right.
So cute.
She came to that class. That's right.
She was
so
so
she
sweet.
tries, right? So she's still moving and she understands how important it is for longevity for her life to be able to protect her body, her joints, her bones as she ages. But, we're thinking about that still even at our age, our knees. I want to be able to do Disney multiple times a year.
Absolutely.
And so that becomes the motivation for it. So we're talking about the importance of it, and that's very obvious. What is some advice, or why do you think women are so intimidated to get into the gym and start some of this movement?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard right now. We talk about this all the time, which is, just the immense amount of reels and TikToks and things we see on social media that are really geared towards women that are telling us, maybe not directly, but indirectly, that we're meant to look a certain way and move a certain way. And there's this glorified Pilates body that's toned and defined. And, I think Hopefully we're kind of getting away from this idea that women shouldn't be strength training or lifting heavy, and social media hopefully is bringing strength training to women a little bit more. But I mean, it's hard. It's hard because we can still see, I still come across things on my feed all the time that are talking about, here are the 3 things that I do to stay slim and lean. And I do light intensity activity, and I eat these foods, and I drink these teas, and I dry brush, and I do a million. It's just like, there's just too much information out there for us. And it can be hard, I think, specifically as women. We're fighting against so many opinions.
Literally. And that reminds me, I did some one-on-one confidence coaching last year, and I had a client who wanted to get into fitness, and it was that exactly. She's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. She wanted to do cycling, but she had read, that is a big stress cortisol, and then you make yourself all this other, and then at one point I was like, just do something, like, stop worrying right now about what it all is. Do whatever's going to make you happy and feel good. Well, what would be your advice for someone who's feeling that overwhelm with all this information?
Well, first of all, Sam, can you tell that to all my clients? Or like all women that I've ever met, because that is so important. Like, we're so obsessed with figuring out the perfect form of movement. And I'm like, we just have to start somewhere. There is no, in my opinion, I mean, there are types of movement that I like more than others. I believe in my heart that everyone needs to strength train, and I think it's really important, but there's no perfect form of movement. There's no form of movement that's better than another. The best form of movement is the one you're actually going to do.
That's right.
And so if someone doesn't know what to do, my first step is keep it simple and find something that you enjoy. Like, if at the end of the day, if you're forcing yourself into something that you hate, if you're trying to go into the gym and do what everyone else is telling you to do, and it doesn't feel right to you, well, then we're not starting off on the right foot. So I think my first piece of advice is keeping it simple, finding things that you can find some joy in. And then also reminding yourself that, like, nobody in the gym is an expert at all. Most of the people in there are still learning from social media, or learning from YouTube, or, learning from their friends. And so lean into your resources, bringing a friend, asking for help. Nobody is an expert at this stuff. I'm not nearly an expert at this stuff. And I've been working in this field for 4 or 5 years. So yeah.
Does it bring up any memories of when you started, and what was your first dive into movement? You said you and your friend went to the gym, you kind of did what you wanted, but were you playing with free weights? Were you on the machines? Were you in Zumba classes? Like, where did you first pull the Band-Aid off and start moving?
Yeah. So I think that I started off going to group fitness classes. I loved cycling. I loved things like Zumba and different strength classes. I would find some way to move and make it fun. But I think when I really got into strength training was during the pandemic. And I mean, all I had at home was a couple sets of dumbbells.
Right.
And that's all it took. I mean, that's how I started becoming addicted to strength training, was a couple sets of dumbbells, some YouTube videos, some of my own research, focusing on pretty simple standard movements that I was doing consistently and getting better at over time. I mean, that was how I started.
Let's talk about these simple movements that maybe a beginner could start with. If we were talking about just the basic, again, functional training, let's use that buzzword, but maybe somebody has a couple dumbbells at home. Give me 5 moves that you think would be great for somebody to start with.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of try to give like a super simplified exercise basics mini crash course
Let's do it.
that I think that will be really useful for everybody. So, we can kind of group most of the exercises we do in the gym into a few different movement patterns, right? We have our squat pattern. So, any type of squat that we can do, we know there are a million different ways to squat.
That's right.
We have our hinge. So any kind of hinge movement can be something like an RDL or a deadlift. Those movements that are typically more glute dominant versus our more quad dominant squats, lunges, things like that. We've got push, any way that you're pushing something, whether it's over your head, whether it's over your chest, whether it's a push-up, some sort of push movement, some sort of pull movement, whether it's a row or, we could do that with a dumbbell, with cables, whatever, and then some kind of core movement. And again, we can dive into the specifics of what's functional core training, what's not functional core training. Sure. We could talk for 2 hours about the core. But if you can pick a type of squat that is comfortable for you, a type of RDL hinge that is comfortable for you, some sort of pressing movement, some sort of pulling movement, and a core movement, you have a complete workout right there. And if you spend 4 to 5 weeks on those 5 movements and focusing on really solidifying them, advancing them, whether that's with better form, more controlled tempo, increased weights, I mean, you're going to see massive changes in your strength and confidence because you are mastering those 5 basic movements that you can then develop and turn into maybe some more complex movements over time.
Yeah. What a great, yeah. Beautifully said. Like, and you just even simplified it in my brain too. And I think that's so important to keep it nice and simple. And then to your point, once you have those basics down, I mean, thinking even squats, you can make them narrow, you can make them sumo, make them wide, you could put something under your heels, like all the different ways you can do that. You have your lunges, different variations with lunges based on how much you're hinging in the waist. So what a beautiful way to really simplify that and break it down. So let's now transition a little bit to talk, because you do have a training program and you offer online services, in-person services. Tell us a little bit about maybe just the different services that you offer. And then I want to talk about your online program because I've been doing it. So I want to break
Girl,
it down.
I know you have, and I'm so happy. I'm so excited to hear what you think. But yeah, so I work with clients in a few different ways, and I feel so lucky for all the different ways that I've been able to move with people and help people get stronger over the last few years. It's truly such a blessing. I work in person, one-on-one with clients over in Newport, Kentucky. I would say that's kind of my most hands-on, intensive, high-level form of work that I do. So that's, private, semi-private, work with somebody with very specific goals. They want that direct in-person attention. This might be for somebody who, has, like I mentioned, very specific goals in the gym. Maybe they're coming off of an injury. Maybe they don't really feel comfortable in a gym setting and they prefer kind of a private gym, working with a trainer. And that's been really wonderful. And it's been great to work with people in that setting. But I also started to realize that there's a big community of women who actually do like to go into the gym and like to be able to work. And no, I don't mean to say just women, a big community of people
Sure.
who like to go into the gym, who like to work out on their own time, who have a pretty basic understanding of movement. Maybe they've taken group fitness classes or they've worked with a trainer and they go into the gym, but they just don't fully know what to do. They don't go in with a plan. They get stressed. They're kind of just doing whatever they've seen on Instagram or they are used to doing for the last 2 years or whatever. So I started working with some clients one-on-one, programming for them in the gym so they can go in with a plan. They can go in and do workouts focused on their goals. And that's been amazing too, kind of that one-on-one attention virtually. But then I kind of wanted to dive into something a little more accessible. And that's how I built my monthly programming membership, which is a monthly workout program that I create for a very large group of people. Anyone can subscribe to it. Anybody can use it. It's meant to really be something that you can adapt to your own gym, to your own space, to your own training style. But I just figured, I think that the biggest part of the game when it comes to going into the gym is just having a plan. And a lot of people have a basic understanding of how to do movements and what they should be doing, and they can get themselves to the gym a few times a week. They just don't know what to do. So that's why I created this program, was to be able to give people an accessible, affordable resource that still provides them with that high level training, just in a more flexible way.
I feel that deeply as someone who absolutely knows form, what I can do, but has no interest in putting my own workout together to go to the gym. Honestly, before I got on your program, Matilda, I was doing like my shred workouts at the gym because I didn't want to have to, I was already programming workouts and I didn't want to have to do more for myself.
Exactly.
And I love my workouts. I got to hype myself up. I think people should come to class. I'm not saying mine aren't good, but I wanted somebody else to guide me. And the difference in what we do at Shred is it's quicker. It's a little more hit. And when I went to the gym, I wanted to do more heavy lifting, more focused, target, slow it down a little bit. So I've been using your programs. I love them. I think I have to say, to that point, one thing that I really love about your programs, Matilda, are that it's only a handful of moves. So I don't feel like I'm in the gym for like an hour and a half doing so many reps,
Nobody
so
has time
many
for that.
circuits. No. And I've done other programs where it's just like so long and I'm like, I don't have time to be here this long. So I will share the very first workout I did of Matilda's. I was so sore the next day. I don't know what I've been doing or not doing, but I was like, hell yes, like in the best way possible.
I love
I
it.
might have been at the beginning stages of like getting sick too, so my body might have been shutting down a little bit.
It
But
was like, what are you doing to
it
me?
was, but it felt so good. And so I will say I am really, really enjoying it because I do, what I also love is you send out this spreadsheet that has the workouts and then you link videos so that I can see how it should be done. And that is, I think, something that stops a lot of people or can intimidate them. It's like, okay, yes, do a shoulder press. And then you come up with 1,000 questions. Should my hands be facing forward? Should they be facing in? How far down do my elbows come? I don't want to be at the gym and somebody be watching me and being like, why is her shoulder press look crazy? And having the video resources just allows you to really see how it should be done, especially since some of the moves, I don't want to say they're different, but they mix up some of the basics, which I love. You have the videos right there. So thank you. How long did that take?
Of course.
How long did this take you to put together? Let me ask you that question.
I mean, I'll be honest, at first I was a little nervous. It was going to be a huge time commitment, but I'm programming for clients all the time, right? So I'm always thinking about movements and new creative ways to structure a program. There are a million different ways to write a workout program. And there's no perfect program. There are a lot of bad aspects of programming that are important to avoid, but I love it. I love bringing strength to people in new ways. And so I always have these ideas and I'm always thinking about new exercises and I'm learning from other colleagues in the industry. And so, I would say it definitely takes some time because I kind of get really into it and I nerd out and I find new things and I, just kind of go down the rabbit hole. But, it's fun. And so it's just something that I'm constantly doing, constantly working on.
There's a creative piece to it, would you say?
For sure. For sure.
That's
I think
what I love.
yeah. Yeah.
I love that about fitness, building classes. I think people don't realize that there is a kind of a creative outlet when you're building programming.
Yeah, tons of intention. There has to be a why behind everything you're doing. As the person working out, but also as the person writing the workouts. Why have I decided to give you 5 sets of front squat? Not because I hate you, because that's part of our, well, no, I'm doing it because I love you. It's part of our plan. It's part of the story. It's part of what we're doing. And there's a greater purpose behind it. And then how we progress that over the course of 4 or 5, 6 weeks, or the 1 month in the case of the monthly programming membership, like there's purpose behind everything.
Yeah, I love to hear that. I want to get back to the programming, but you'd kind of touched on this, and I forgot that I wanted to ask you earlier. Are there any common mistakes that people make starting out that you think they should avoid or be careful of when they do get into maybe going into the gym by themselves? I'd say not necessarily group fitness, but individual, like training on their own.
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, one thing I want to say is like, we all look a fool in the gym when we start. If I look back at even when I was like 2 to 3 years into working out, when I look back at some of my old videos, because I have a lot of videos of myself working out, I look back at some things and I'm like, Matilda, what? Like, you should have known better. But I mean, we are all constantly, and I still to this day, I record myself working out all the time. Yes, for social media, but also to pick apart my form and to really analyze how I'm moving and look for patterns in my movement and see things I'm doing. If something felt uncomfortable, okay, I can watch myself and kind of pick it apart. So there will be form mistakes. There will be ways that you maybe feel a little bit stupid in the gym, and that's bound to happen. I think one of the most avoidable mistakes we can all make in the gym is that we kind of disregard the power of consistency. I think that we, again, like I mentioned before, we go on social media and we see 50 different exercises and 50 different ways to work out, and we get all these opinions, and you have a slideshow of 10 different functional core exercises, and it's like, well, where do I even start? I go into the gym and this piece of equipment is being used and I don't know how to use that. And my gosh, like I saw somebody doing this and telling me that this is the only way to grow my glutes. And that's all great. And it's good to have all those exercises in your library and it's good to find variety. But when you're just trying to be consistent in the gym, you have to be consistent. You have to take those movements, you have to repeat them and progress them and keep working on those same movements for 4, 5, 6 weeks. We can't be changing we can, you can do whatever you want. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But when we have these specific goals, changing up our workout and having no progression over time, it's going to be a lot harder to find that increased strength or to reach those specific goals that somebody might have. So I would say don't overcomplicate it. Find your few movements or use your program and stick to it and get better at it and repeat it and get stronger. And then, 4, 5, 6 weeks in, you might change a few things around and try moving in a little bit of a different way. But we don't need to be changing it up and going crazy every single time we go in there.
Beautifully said, that consistency piece of it. And then to your point, it does simplify it and it does make it less overwhelming. And then you do gain that confidence because you're like, okay, I know my plan. I know my routine when I go to the gym and I can do that. And then, yeah, to your point, you'll get in a couple of weeks and you'll hit that wall. You're like, all right, let me do something different here. And then it's time to mix it up. I think one mistake that I have made myself is going too hard too early on. Just because I have a lot of ego and a lot of I just have a lot of pent up energy that I can release. And I've done that with running where I'm like, my cardio feels so good. So I'm like, I know I can go fast, but it's like, no, my legs are not trained to run. These legs are trained to cycle. I did that at Shred at first. Was like, I had so much cardio endurance that I was pushing myself so hard, but my legs were not used to running. And so then my knees were killing me. And I was like, I had to slow down, rebuild, and now I can go faster. But I was like just pounding in proper form because I was trying to be hard and I was like, oh, I can handle this. I've done all these other things. And I just not listening to your body, I feel like can be a big mistake. So
for sure. And it's not all about being as intense as possible all the time. Like you'll know, since you've done my program, not everything, I very specifically write intensity levels of different movements. Not everything is meant to be the hardest, most exhausting, most difficult thing. Sometimes my focus for a movement is let's get a really good range of motion. Let's really focus on that, on maybe this one accessory movement or this mind muscle connection here. It's not always about maxing out and going as hard as possible. That's not functional. That's not balanced training. You're not gonna be able to sustain that forever. And that's the whole point of fitness, what we're trying to get after. We wanna be doing stuff that elevates our life, that helps us move better. And we wanna be doing stuff that we can see ourselves doing in 10 years. I don't know about you, but I could not see myself doing intense cardio workouts 7 days a week, every week, 10 years from now.
Right. No.
I want to get my hit on. I want to get my good slow strength on. I want to get my recovery on. It's important to have that balance. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
So I do want to get back to your programming, and I love that you had mentioned that you do have those intensity ratings, which is so helpful to your point to know how intense it needs to be or how hard and heavy we need to go. The other thing that you had mentioned, which was kind of a selling point for me, was it is affordable. Bless you, Matilda. So y'all get on this now before she realizes what she's giving away and starts upping her prices. It is affordable. What made you want to choose that price point?
I mean, honestly, I just want strength training. I want the gym to be accessible for people. I don't think that you should have to drop hundreds of dollars on some bougie membership to be able to move well and train well. Again, like I've said, there are so many options out there, so many incredible ways to move. I have my set of experiences in the fitness industry. I want to provide those to people. Hopefully it reaches the right audience. And so, my audience is probably not people who are spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month on different wellness things. It's probably people like me who are just trying to find something accessible, affordable, something that can fit into their already chaotic life. So I just felt like, $24 a month, that's probably less than I spend on all my coffee outings to Deeper Roots. So I would be willing to make $24 a month work. So that's kind of where I place that.
That's less than I spend on coffee over 3 days. Like, let's be honest. So she said like $24 a month. I'm sorry, what? When I first saw you had a program, I looked into it and that's what it was. Like, I was like pulling out my card faster than the web page even loaded. I was like, absolutely. So it is really great. So now that everybody's like itching to go take advantage of this, Matilda, how do people find you? How can they sign up? You have an email list, which I'm on. I also love getting your emails. How do people get connected, get tips, follow your content?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Sing Sweat Repeat, and I post fairly consistently on there, but I also really love to communicate through my newsletter. I've just found that, I can kind of get into my thoughts a little bit deeper there. So, at that link in my bio, you can sign up for my newsletter. And you can also, by signing up for my newsletter, you will immediately get a free 3-day full body workout program. So if you're kind of on the fence and you're like, I don't know if I want to pay $24 a month yet, you're going to get a free 3-day full body workout program in your inbox. It's a little bit more simple. It's not quite as specific and advanced as my monthly programming membership that you're signed up for, but it's kind of a nice little entryway. So if you're on the fence, if you sign up for my newsletter, you will get that in your inbox. If you're like, I'm ready, I'm sold, I want to do this monthly programming membership, that's also at the link in my bio. You can sign up for that immediately. And if you DM me, I'll give you your first month free. I got a special link for that too. So you got quite a few options, but pretty much everything you can find at Sing Sweat Repeat on Instagram.
Sweat Repeat on Instagram. And one thing too, as before we close this, Matilda, I will say you're so accessible and thank you for that. So even I know I text you, but I know you have put out there to message you on Instagram. If you do get the program and you're like, hey, I don't have this piece of equipment at my gym, what's another option? And I had asked you that question and you gave me a great alternative, although I think it was like lunge jumps. So maybe don't message Matilda because there's nothing
I might
fun
make it
about
worse.
that. Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to go buy a ball so I can slam it on my house so I don't have to do lunge jumps. But no, she is accessible and can give you some great alternatives. So thank you for really just pouring your heart and passion into this, Matilda, so that we can live a more functional, a healthy life. Thank you so much for coming on here and giving us your time today. Sing, Sweat, Repeat on Instagram. You won't regret it. Matilda, I hope you have a great day. And everybody who is listening, you have a great day because you deserve it.